Welcome to Living in Korea with Wendy Flor. Today I am going to share with you the different kinds of apartment rentals here in Korea. So that falls exactly under the Living in Korea with Wendy Flor series. That is exactly the reason why we had to transfer apartment 2 months back. Anyway, before I proceed, if you're new to my channel, please subscribe and don't forget to click the notification bell so that you will be updated each time I upload a new video.
Hello, this is Wendy.
As promised, I'm going to talk about the different kinds of rental agreements here in Korea. Where I used to live, I love that neighborhood. If given the choice, I didn't want to leave that place because, well, if you know Digital Media City, I love that. I feel secure there. I just love, you just walk to the Digital Media City going around there and it's where all the media company headquarters of the media companies here in Korea are located. And you have the Hanwol Park and the Newell Park on the other side. And my children walk to school. Anyway, the reason why we needed to change apartment was because the previous owner of the house wanted a different kind of rental agreement. They wanted a Jeonse. But my husband's company, we have my husband's package includes housing. So if you want to know the expat package, I talked about that in one of my other videos. I'll put the link up above. The expat package here in South Korea. The company pays Wolse ever since. Wolse is monthly payment rental, which is what we know about rental agreements, right? Um, so we pay the deposit, usually depending on the size of your apartment, depending on the location, depending on the amenities, depending on the neighborhood. The the deposit would account to 30, 40, 50 million, 70, and then you've got to talk about the monthly rental. So your monthly rental will also depend on the amount of the deposit that you have deposited, you've given to the house owner. And then there you pay that. That excludes electricity bills, that excludes all the utilities, okay? So that's the wholesale kind of rental agreement. It's easy to understand because that's what we know, that's what we are used to. Back in the Philippines, we have our units rented out also. So we have security deposit and all that, and then monthly payment from the tenant. Anyway, now let's move on to the other kind of rental agreement, which is very unique to South Korea. We call that the Jeonse kind of agreement. Jeonse, this involves a huge amount of money. The value, the Jeonse that you have to pay is a certain percentage of the actual value of the property itself. I have to check, maybe 30-40% of the actual value of the property. I'll have to verify that, and I'll put the exact percentage on the screen if I get the exact percentage. It depends on where your location is. It depends on the size of the apartment. It depends on the amenities of the apartment and the neighborhood. Some Jeonse would be around 300, 400, 500 million won, $500 million. So just do your math, won to dollars. When the previous owner said that to the company, my husband's company has never done. They don't do. It's part of the company policy. They only do wholesale. We were advised to move to another apartment. So, they gave us they advised the realtor they've assigned to us to look for options for us to find an apartment that offers Wolse. Um, most house owners actually prefer Wolse because you get something every month. But there are house owners who might need a huge amount of money that they bought some property or they're going somewhere or whatever. For whatever reason, they prefer Jeonse. So now the company, the previous house owner, no more Wolse, let's give us Jeonse to the company. So now, the unique arrangement here when it comes to Jeonse is that no matter how huge the amount you've agreed on or the owner has offered, at the end of the contract, the owner has to give it back to you, to the tenant. Of course, with that huge amount of money, the house owner has already invested that money or maybe has already, gained some interest in that money. So that's why the house owner can afford to give it back. Of course, there are risks involved, especially if the house owner at the end of the contract will not have enough money to give it back, right? But that's beside the point. But that's how it works. Usually, of course the house owner knows that it's going to be beneficial to him or to her. On the part of the tenant, you might question, with that amount of money, why not buy a property? But the thing is, properties here in South Korea are not really cheap, especially if you would prefer an area where real estate properties are really high. So some would opt to do this Jeonse kind of rental. And some even had to borrow money from the bank and pay a certain amount of interest every month just to be able to get this kind of apartment rental. This is what's unique to the apartment rental agreements here in South Korea. So there, I hope you learned a little bit about this kind of rental agreements here in South Korea. And the Wolse is not different from what we know, from what we are used to, but the Jeonse, as I've said, is the one that's unique to South Korea. Okay? So if you want to transfer apartment, what do you do? I don't have to look for the apartments myself. The company has assigned a realtor for us. They've done, the agent, the broker has done it for us ever since we arrived here. And from the choices that the realtor has given us, I have to visit the choices that they've provided to us. Of course, these choices are within the company budget for us. And I just needed to say which area I wanted to be in. The area that I prefer, where I live, can you believe it? Almost all the apartments there are now offering Jeonse. During the time that we were actually looking for apartments, there was scarcity in availability of apartments. They've told us that, the broker told me that a lot of Koreans have been going back to Korea, usually from America, have been going back to Korea. Because of COVID, they deem it safer to be living here in Korea at the moment. So that's why we had a little bit of difficulty in finding the apartment that I liked, location-wise and size-wise, and I'd like to share with you in the next video how we transferred apartment. What are the things that we needed to know, we needed to do when we transferred apartment? Watch out for that. I hope you like my contents and I hope you find it useful. So just browse through, especially about living here in Korea, I have the Living in Korea playlist. So just browse through that, and I hope you will be able to find some very useful things there for you. So please subscribe to my channel and don't forget to click the notification bell so that you will be updated for my next video upload. Till the next one!